I never thought much about how I looked. Honestly, most days, I didn't care at all. I wore baggy hoodies, ripped jeans, and scuffed sneakers, blending into the background like I wanted to be invisible. That was my armor. People knew me as the rough kid at school, the one who joked too loud, pushed boundaries, and never seemed to take anything seriously. But beneath that, I was always uncomfortable. Uncomfortable in my own skin, unsure of who I wanted to be. And I buried that feeling under sarcasm and noise. It all started the day I met Jamie. She was everything I wasn't: effortless, radiant, and confident in a way that made everyone notice her without even trying. I remember watching her walk across the courtyard, sunlight catching the strands of her hair, and thinking, I could never be like that. It was envy at first, but not the bitter kind, something warmer, more aching. Something I didn't have words for. One afternoon, Jamie cornered me in the art room. "Why do you hide so much?" she asked, tilting her head with that gentle curiosity that made you want to confess everything. I laughed it off. "I don't hide, I just exist," I muttered, shrugging. But she didn't let it go. She smiled, unshakable. "You're scared," she said. "And that's okay. But what if you didn't have to be?" Her words stuck with me. I couldn't shake them, and over the next few weeks, I found myself thinking about what it might feel like to step out of the rough exterior I'd wrapped around myself for so long. And then, she invited me to something I never expected: a glow-up challenge with her group of friends. No pressure, no judgment, just a chance to explore a different version of myself. I wanted to say no. I almost did. But something in me, curiosity, hope, fear, maybe all of it, said yes. The first day was terrifying. I walked into Jamie's room, walls covered in mirrors and soft string lights, and was handed a simple checklist: skincare, hair, outfit, confidence. I didn't even know where to start. Jamie knelt down beside me, patient, and said, "Let's just take it one thing at a time." She showed me how to cleanse my face, how to brush and style my hair in ways that felt soft, gentle, almost tender. It felt absurd at first, alien even. I wanted to laugh at myself. But then I caught my reflection midway through brushing my hair and froze. I didn't recognize myself, not in a scary way, but in a "what is this feeling" kind of way. Next came the clothes. Jamie had picked out something simple: jeans that fit, a pastel sweater, and sneakers that weren't falling apart. I felt naked in it, exposed. All the old insecurities bubbled up. What if people laughed? What if I didn't belong? Jamie laughed softly, sensing my hesitation, and said, "No one's judging you. You're the only one here with yourself right now. And I think you'll like what you see." When I looked in the mirror after changing, I didn't feel like the same person. The lines of anxiety in my face softened, the hoodie that hid me like armor was gone, replaced by something lighter, more open. I remember touching my face, my cheeks, almost afraid they would shatter if I pressed too hard. And then I smiled, an honest smile, not the sarcastic mask I'd perfected over years. I didn't just look different. I felt different. Jamie didn't stop there. She taught me small things I'd dismissed my whole life: how to apply a subtle lip balm, how to let my hair fall naturally, how to stand in a way that felt like owning space instead of hiding in it. And the most surprising part? Each step felt less like trying to be someone else and more like discovering someone I'd always been. My reflection started to feel like a friend instead of an enemy. The hardest part was walking back out into the world. I spent years perfecting the rough exterior because it kept people from looking too closely. And now I was exposed. But when I stepped into the street, something unexpected happened. People didn't laugh. No one stared with judgment. Some smiled. A few even said, "You look great." And I realized the fear had been louder than reality. The first real test came at school the next day. I kept my head down at first, expecting whispers, smirks, maybe even cruel jokes. But something shifted inside me. I walked a little taller, smiled at people, let myself be seen. And to my surprise, the rough kid persona started to dissolve, not with shame, but with relief. I was still me. Just me, fully. Open. Vibrant. And no one could take that away. Over the weeks, the glow-up continued, not just on the outside, but in how I felt. I started caring about little things: grooming, clothes, posture, the tone of my voice. But more than that, I started caring about myself. And that made all the difference. Friends I didn't expect to notice me began inviting me to hang out. Teachers commented on my confidence. Even strangers offered compliments that felt strangely powerful because I was finally hearing them with open ears. The most transformative moment wasn't in front of a mirror, though. It was sitting in my room one night, alone, reflecting on the journey. I realized that this glow-up wasn't about makeup or clothes at all. It was about courage. Courage to let go of old labels, to step into vulnerability, to see myself with kindness instead of mockery. For the first time, I didn't just exist. I belonged to myself, first and foremost. Jamie noticed the change too. She didn't say much, just smiled one afternoon and said, "You look radiant." And I laughed, but softly, because I knew it wasn't just about appearances. I was radiant because I had discovered the courage to be me. Now, when I look in the mirror, I still see traces of the rough kid I once was: the humor, the toughness, the scars that shaped me. But they're layered with softness, openness, a glow that comes from acceptance and self-love. I've learned that transformation isn't a switch you flip, it's a journey you allow yourself to take, step by step, with patience and compassion. I hope anyone watching this knows this: it's never too late to see yourself clearly, to step into the version of you that's waiting patiently beneath fear and doubt. Your glow isn't in makeup, clothes, or how others see you. It's in courage. In honesty. In the quiet moments when you choose yourself over hiding. And once you do, the world, well, it just seems to notice. Because I didn't just glow on the outside. I glowed on the inside. And that, I've learned, is the kind of radiance that can never be taken away. Even with all the changes, there were moments I stumbled. Transformation isn't linear, it's messy, filled with doubt, setbacks, and self-criticism. One afternoon, I stood in front of my closet, staring at clothes I'd once avoided, and froze. I felt a familiar tightness in my chest, the old voice whispering, "You're not ready for this. You'll embarrass yourself." My hands trembled slightly as I picked up a pastel blouse Jamie had suggested, feeling its softness and thinking about all the eyes that might judge me. I almost put it back. Almost ran back to the safety of my hoodies. But then I remembered the mirror in Jamie's room, the one that showed me a friendlier, braver version of myself. I took a deep breath, pulled the blouse over my head, and in that simple act, I felt a surge of something new: bravery. Not the kind that shouts or storms forward, but the quiet, steady bravery of someone who refuses to hide. School that day was different. I caught glimpses of my old friends, the ones who had teased or ignored me before. Their eyes lingered longer than usual, curiosity flickering across their faces. One of them, Alex, smirked at first, then said quietly, "You look good." That was it. Just 4 words. But it hit me harder than any insult ever had. Validation had never been the goal, I realized, but recognition, acknowledgement, mattered. And in that moment, I felt seen. Truly seen. Even strangers noticed. The barista at my favorite coffee shop complimented my hair. A classmate asked where I had gotten my shoes. Each interaction was small, ordinary even, but for me, it was proof that the world could respond differently when I showed up differently. And slowly, I began to understand the real power behind the glow-up. It wasn't makeup or clothes. It was confidence in being unapologetically yourself. There were challenges, though, moments that tested the courage I'd been building. One evening, my younger brother laughed at me when he saw me trying on a scarf Jamie had lent me. "Seriously? You're wearing that?" he chuckled, expecting me to shrink, to revert to my old self. But instead, I held my head high, smiled, and said, "Yes, I'm wearing it. And I like it." It was a small victory, but it felt monumental. For once, I wasn't hiding from judgment, I was meeting it head-on. The turning point came when the school held its annual talent show. Jamie convinced me to participate, not with singing or dancing, but with a simple monologue about self-discovery. I had never stood in front of people like that, never let my voice carry beyond jokes or sarcasm. My hands shook as I walked on stage, the lights glaring, the crowd silent. But as I began to speak, something shifted. Each word was a declaration, each sentence a shedding of the old armor I'd carried for years. I told them about fear, about hiding, about the courage it took to see yourself honestly. I told them about Jamie, about the small steps that led me here, and about how a glow-up isn't just skin deep, it's soul deep. When I finished, the applause hit me like a wave. Not just for my performance, but for the vulnerability I had dared to show. Tears blurred my vision. For the first time, I wasn't performing to be liked, I was sharing my truth, and that was enough. Afterward, people came up to me, some classmates I'd barely spoken to before. "I get it now," one said. "You've really changed. And not just how you look." I nodded, my heart full. They didn't mean changed in a shallow way, they saw the real transformation. And for the first time, I saw it too. I wasn't just someone who looked different, I was someone who had learned to love herself. The glow-up continued beyond appearances. I started exploring passions I'd hidden, taking art classes, volunteering, even joining a small theater group. Each step pushed me further, expanded my world, and strengthened the quiet confidence I was building. People who once dismissed me began to notice, but it didn't feel like victory over them, it felt like reclaiming my own life. By the end of that school year, I realized something profound. Transformation is rarely about reaching perfection. It's about courage, consistency, and the willingness to face discomfort. It's about allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to try, to fail, and to try again. And most importantly, it's about acceptance, the kind that starts within and radiates outward. Jamie was right all along. I had always been there beneath the rough edges, waiting for permission to shine. And I finally gave it to myself. The glow wasn't just a surface-level change, it was me, fully awake, fully present, and fully free. Looking back now, I see how far I've come. The mirrors reflect more than just my face, they reflect the journey of courage, resilience, and self-discovery. And while I'll never forget the rough kid I used to be, I'm grateful, because without him, I wouldn't have known how beautiful it feels to finally, unapologetically, be me. The real test of my glow-up came unexpectedly one rainy afternoon. I had been invited to a school event, a community showcase of student projects. Normally, I would have gone in hooded and invisible, staying in the background, avoiding eye contact. But not this time. I stood in front of the mirror, smoothing the soft blouse Jamie had picked out for me, adjusting my hair, and exhaling deeply. I felt ready. Not perfect, not flawless, but ready to face the world as me. As soon as I walked in, whispers started. I could feel eyes scanning, some curious, some judgmental. My stomach flipped. Old fears, those familiar chains, tried to tighten around me. But then I saw Jamie in the corner, giving me a small thumbs up and a reassuring smile. That was all I needed. I held my head high, shoulders back, and stepped forward. People started noticing me, not just my appearance, but the energy I carried. I wasn't trying to impress, I was simply present. And that presence drew people in. Classmates I had once avoided came over, asking about my project, complimenting my presentation skills. Some teachers nodded in approval. I realized then that the glow-up wasn't about being prettier, softer, or acceptable to others. It was about showing up authentically, unapologetically, and letting your confidence shine through. Halfway through the event, an unexpected moment struck me. One of my old friends, someone I had drifted away from during my rough years, came up with a surprised grin. You look amazing," they said. "Not just that, like, you're different. In a good way." I smiled, feeling a wave of warmth and relief. This wasn't about validation anymore. It was about being recognized as the person I had always wanted to be, the person I had worked quietly to discover. Later that evening, after the rain had stopped and the sun broke through clouds in soft golden light, I walked home with Jamie. We didn't speak much. Words weren't needed. The silence was comfortable, filled with understanding and shared triumph. At one point, she nudged me gently and said, "See? You didn't just change your look. You changed yourself." I laughed softly, a sound light and free, nothing like the forced laughs of my old self. "I think I finally get it," I admitted. "This isn't about hiding or pretending anymore. It's about showing up. Being brave. Being me." She nodded, smiling knowingly. Exactly. And the best part? You don't have to stop. You're allowed to keep growing, keep glowing. That night, as I looked in my mirror at home, I barely recognized the reflection. Not because my face or clothes were perfect, but because I saw someone I truly admired. Someone who had faced fear, self-doubt, and judgment and had still chosen to be herself. The glow in my eyes wasn't from makeup, light, or reflection. It was from courage, self-acceptance, and a sense of belonging in my own skin. The transformation had gone deeper than I ever imagined. I felt more capable of love, more resilient to fear, and more connected to those around me. I even began noticing subtle changes in how I interacted with people, smiling more genuinely, listening more patiently, and embracing moments of vulnerability without shame. Weeks turned into months, and the glow-up became a lifestyle. I still wore jeans and hoodies sometimes, but now they were choices, not shields. I explored fashion, colors, and styles that spoke to me. I experimented with hairstyles, occasionally letting my hair fall naturally, other times styling it elegantly, always savoring the simple joy of self-expression. The most powerful realization came one quiet evening, alone on my balcony, looking out over the city lights. I understood something that no one else could give me. It didn't matter if the world noticed or approved. The glow-up was mine, for me. And when I embraced that, everything else, the attention, the compliments, even the occasional judgment, lost its power over me. I also realized that my glow-up wasn't just external. It had transformed how I navigated life, how I approached challenges, relationships, and even failure. I felt capable of taking risks, not because I was fearless, but because I trusted myself. I had learned to honor my feelings, to nurture my passions, and to embrace my identity with compassion and pride. Looking back, I understand now that the journey from rough to radiant wasn't about a single day, a single outfit, or even a single person guiding me. It was about consistent, deliberate choices, choosing courage over fear, self-acceptance over shame, and authenticity over pretense. And when I finally embraced that, the glow I had sought externally revealed itself internally, creating a radiance that no mirror, no clothes, no compliment could ever replicate alone. I've shared this story not to show a transformation in appearance, but to share what it feels like to truly find yourself, step into your identity, and embrace your unique journey. Everyone has that glow inside them, waiting for the courage to shine. Mine just happened to have a few more steps along the way. So, if you're watching this, know this: the glow up isn't about fitting in, looking perfect, or meeting anyone else's standards. It's about daring to explore, daring to try, and daring to love yourself enough to show up as who you truly are. And when you do, that's when the real radiance begins. It's been almost a year since that first day in Jamie's room, since the mirror first showed me a glimpse of who I could become. So much has changed, yet in strange ways, everything still feels familiar. Same streets, same coffee shop, same sunsets, but I walk through them differently now. I move with purpose, with calm, with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing who I am. The world didn't suddenly become easier, but I did become stronger. This morning, as I got ready for class, I caught myself humming softly while brushing my hair. The sunlight slipped through the window, hitting the mirror, and for a second, it felt like the reflection smiled first. I laughed quietly to myself because I remembered the version of me who would have looked away from that mirror, too scared to see. Now, it feels like an old friend greets me every morning, one who knows my flaws, my fears, my scars, and still says, "You're enough." Jamie and I still hang out all the time, though we've both grown in our own directions. She doesn't say much about the glow-up anymore, because it's not something that needs talking about. It's just who I am now. Sometimes, when we're out walking or sitting at our favorite spot near the river, she'll nudge me and smile, and we'll both laugh because no words are needed to remember how far things have come. Last week, something happened that really hit me. I was helping organize a new student orientation at school, and there was this kid, nervous, quiet, hiding behind a baggy sweatshirt. They reminded me so much of myself that it almost hurt. I went over, just to say hi, and we started talking. They confessed that they didn't feel like they fit in, that they felt too different to belong. I listened, really listened, and told them something I wish someone had told me back then: you don't have to change who you are to be seen. You just have to stop hiding from yourself. The kid looked at me, half confused, half hopeful. I saw a tiny spark of recognition in their eyes, that same spark I once saw in the mirror when Jamie told me I didn't have to be afraid. It felt like everything had come full circle, like the courage she gave me was now passing through me to someone else who needed it. That night, I wrote in my journal for the first time in months. I wrote about how transformation isn't a destination, it's a rhythm, a way of living. Some days I still wake up unsure. Some days, I still question myself. But now, I don't see those days as failures. I see them as part of the glow, because even light needs shadows to shine through. Sometimes, when people from the past see me now, their faces light up with surprise. They say things like, "You've changed so much," and I smile, because they mean it as a compliment, but deep down I know the truth. I didn't change into someone else. I just stopped pretending to be someone I wasn't. The word radiant means to emit light, to shine from within. That's what this journey has been about all along. Not about fitting into anyone's image of beauty, but about learning to radiate from the inside out. And maybe that's what Jamie saw in me from the beginning, something I couldn't see for myself. I've learned that being rough isn't the opposite of being radiant. It's the foundation of it. The rough edges, the hard moments, the fears, they all carved me into someone real, someone resilient. You can't shine without the cracks that let the light in. Tonight, as I stand by the mirror one last time before bed, I whisper a quiet thank you to the scared version of me who took that first step, to Jamie who believed in me, and to the reflection that never gave up waiting for me to arrive. The glow isn't something I put on, it's something I live now. And maybe, somewhere out there, someone watching this video will see a little bit of themselves in my story. Maybe they'll recognize that tiny spark in their own reflection, the one that whispers, "You can be more, you already are." If that happens, then everything, the fear, the doubt, the long nights, will have been worth it. Because this isn't just my glow-up story. It's a reminder that every single person has a light waiting inside them. And once you stop hiding from it, that's when you go from rough to radiant.